Good morning. How are you?
Or afternoon. All right, hopefully everyone can hear us. Um, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Karen Durante from FCA International, and welcome to our educational series, which is why contractors of all trades are turning to AI in pre-construction. So today we're going to learn how AI is transforming the bidding process. I was going to introduce Carly. I don't think she's joined us yet. So Michael, our speaker, is here with us. And Michael, I will introduce you. And if you want to tell the group a little bit about yourself, that would be great.
Sure. Do you want to start with the introduction and then I'll kind of follow up on top of it, or?
Oh, go ahead and just tell the group about yourself and your background, and then you can get right into it, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Senni. I'm the head of customer success here at Toggle. So typically what I do is I partner with customers to ensure Toggle is meeting your expectations and you guys are getting value while utilizing the product day in and day out. And we have a team of customer success managers that partner with all our customers, again, to ensure you guys are getting value. A little bit about my background. I'm a construction professional at heart. I've been in the industry for 7 to 8 years. I went to college at Florida International University, got my bachelor's of science in construction management, and kind of started off as a PE for a concrete subcontractor. Eventually learned that I was tired of watching guys pour concrete all day in the hot sun down here in South Florida. So kind of transitioned over to estimating and instantly fell in love with that. That first company I worked with, luckily they were a general contractor too. So we focused on building like luxury residential homes. We did small TI renovations. The casino industry is kind of big down here in South Florida too. So we did a little bit of work there. Afterwards, I transitioned into more of a big dog player down here in South Florida. And I was in the estimating department basically my whole career there. We focused on building large high-rise projects. We did historical renovation jobs, multi-family, commercial renovation, you name it, kind of did a bit of everything there, just, 10 times bigger than what I was doing before. And just a little bit about me, I'm always into tech, trying to stay up to speed on the newest information out there and kind of always challenging myself. I feel like, every day is a new day to learn something new. And I was lucky enough to run into Toggle while being an estimator, just living down here in Florida. I had a friend who ends up being my boss, where today we have a mutual friend together, and they invited me to check out some new takeoff tool, came in on a Saturday, played with it, and I was like, wow, this is the future. And that's kind of how my story of Toggle began. But the goal today is I want to kind of share with you guys the story of Toggle, what we are, what we're doing, and trying to help revolutionize the construction industry. AI is a very important and critical piece of technology that's going to be making a difference in our industry. It's going to be the future, right? It's like the evolution of going from a hammer and nail to actually using like a nail gun, right? It's going to definitely be speeding up the takeoff process. But the idea is it's always going to be a co-pilot. And I always like to try to set those expectations. And you guys will see that throughout my presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. So to kind of give you a little bit of backstory of Toggle, we were founded in 2019. Our CEO, he was a former congressman, served 2 terms in the House of Representatives and started to learn about AI there in his career. His background is the construction industry. He comes from a construction family down here in South Florida. And after he finished his terms in Congress, he was like, wow, like you guys are still doing takeoff like this. There's still some people in the industry, we use our rulers. I got mine right here too. But he wanted to try to find a way to speed up the takeoff process. And what we tried to look at was incorporating AI. But AI, just the way the technology is, it's never going to be one click of a button and, now we get all our information. It's more of, okay, the AI can help trace out these polygons, and now we need to build a system around that to help the estimators speed up and save time on reclassifying that information. That's something I'm going to dive into during the demo. But we were founded in 2019. Product started selling at the end of 2022. I joined the company May of 23, have been there, and we've been growing exponentially. Right now, we're at 1,400 customers. So those aren't users. Those are actual companies that are integrating using Toggle day in and day out. We're about the 8,000 plus user mark. And the way Toggle has been designed to support every trade in construction. It is like a standard takeoff tool. Well, I like to say on steroids with the AI to kind of help you out. So today's outline for the presentation, I want to talk a little about what is utilizing AI in construction and kind of, again, set that groundwork for how AI is going to be in the future, not this marketing push that we see or what we see on like the media where it's like AI is going to come steal our jobs. That at all is not the case here. And I don't see a world of it being like that in reality. I'm going to do a product demo for you guys. We'll go through a case study and then general Q&A for everyone. If you guys do have any questions, by all means, I want to give you guys an opportunity to kind of ask any questions. So what is utilizing AI in construction, right? And what not to do. So we have a strong philosophy here we follow, which is augmentation versus automation. And this comes actually directly from one of the biggest tech companies in the world. What we realized early on when designing a AI solution for construction takeoffs is there's no way for us to be a mind reader, right? We can't go in there and understand exactly what scope of work you're trying to obtain. So we changed our philosophy where it's like, all right, we're not going to automate the process, we're going to augmentate it, right? We all do the same thing. It doesn't matter what trade you are. We draw 3 polygons day in and day out when we're doing takeoff, right? It's an area, linear, count. You, the user, define the definition of that polygon, right? If you think about an area polygon of a room, that could be like 10 different trades. It could be the square footage of your gypsum board for the ceiling. It could be the square footage for the flooring on the floor. It could be the painting, right? Waterproofing takeoff. There's so many different definitions behind it, but we can't automate that because, again, we don't know exactly what you're looking for. So instead, let's try to augment that process. And that leads me to the next big thing and why we have this philosophy. So in May 2023, there was a big announcement. Some massive tech company came out announcing their newest AI function, right? And it was Microsoft. They came out announcing Copilot. This was an AI companion for everyday use, right? And if you guys think about it, they never called it autopilot. It's not steal your jobs pilot. It's not I'm going to take over and do your work pilot, right? It's a Copilot. It's going to assist you with everyday tasks. And that's the same message that we share here at Toggle. AI in construction, unfortunately, because of the vast differences in the quality of our construction plans and the way things are drawn and identified, there's no way we could 100% confidently say we can automate the takeoff for you when there's 15,000 different architects in the world that all draw something differently, if you think about it. And they all have their own little tweaks and symbols and things like that. And so that's very much so the same mindset we came up here at Toggle. We like to say this is a co-pilot. You are the captain of the ship. You still lead the direction. The AI augmentates your work. It doesn't automate it. So I do, for those who are here who are not an estimator, who do not do takeoff day in and day out, I have a short video. I want to just kind of bring everyone back to where we're at in the industry. If you think about a few years ago, before even AI existed, this is what the day in and day out process looked like for a user who was actually doing construction takeoffs. And I want to make sure the sound is playing, so give me 1 second. All right, here we go. So this is before Toggle, right? This is what we go through as estimators. So this video in total was like 1 minute and 30 seconds. And it's just watching someone trace out one corridor in this whole plan, right? If you look at it, look how many other rooms and areas that need to be identified and traced out for us to get the calculations we need. And then now I'm going to show you guys how Toggle is making a difference in the industry and how we're augmenting that process, trying to help save you guys time, and also show you what other tools and features we're developing to continue to advance the construction industry. There's core functions within takeoff tools that we feel like are missing day in and day out. And we think that we're making, trying to make a big difference and helping bring you guys value in other ways just in AI. So just think about this though. This is what we deal with as estimators. All right, so this brings me into Toggle. So this is Toggle itself. It's an online cloud-based takeoff solution. You don't need to actually download anything to your computer. As you can see here, I'm on my web browser and I can just log in, kind of get started utilizing Toggle. If you want to have multiple projects or multiple tabs open at once, one of the best things about us being cloud-based is I can immediately open up a tab of Toggle and I can log in and keep on working on multiple projects. We always recommend to our users to actually bookmark their dashboard page, because when you want to get started early in the morning, you just open up your web browser, open up Toggle. You're there instantly. And so one of the advantages of being cloud-based is you don't have to worry about, oh man, did the project get saved? Did I, if I go home, can I use my personal computer to catch up on some work when my corporate computer is what houses the information and data? You can access this information anywhere around the world. We save 24/7, so there's no worries about having a corrupt file or something crashing and you're losing all your data. There's no failures that really happen in Toggle, right? You upload your drawings, it's all in the cloud. You're able to store and re-access that information whenever you want. And so the idea is that you create a project, you can click into it, you can kind of upload and manage your PDF documents. One neat thing we love about our document management side here in Toggle is we have our AI auto naming. Whenever you upload any documents into Toggle, it doesn't matter what construction sheet it is, we automatically scan that document for you, locate that sheet number and title, and rename that drawing for you. So it doesn't require an estimator to spend 40 minutes going through and naming one page at a time just to understand where the information is within a project. And again, I can click into the next page and we can kind of progress forward to our takeoff menu. So this is what we call our canvas, and this is where you're going to be spending most of your time here inside of Toggle. The idea here is we're a takeoff software, but also on steroids. So you have all the same tools and functions you may need, but we take it to the next level for you. Again, trying to help increase that value and advancing our industry. So creating what we call classifications, they're the same thing as like items or conditions from other takeoff softwares. You just hit the plus sign over here where it says add a classification. I can create an area classification. And let's say we're doing ceiling paint, right? I would just type in the name. All right, I'm doing my ceiling paint. I can input a color. I can pick a pattern. And we can choose up to 8 different quantities to export at once. So by default, we're drawing an area polygon. We're going to get the area square footage, for example, of our ceiling. But we could also get other values with that, right? If we think about it, we could get the perimeter. And that now that area polygon accounts for both the square footage of our ceiling and the actual linear footage of our crown molding, for example, it's being required here. We can do other things like volume. We can do perimeter surface area. So that takes that perimeter value, applies a height to it, and gives you that square footage of that perimeter wall, technically, in this instance. But the key thing we have here in Toggle that a lot of users love is our custom formula. What we learned is there's always going to be some type of custom calculation a user might need. And we could try to build a million different quantity outputs, or you know what, instead, let's just bring Excel in the Toggle for you and let you get the calculations you need. And that's what the custom formula function does here. Basically, it allows me to utilize Excel-like calculations, and now I can calculate any value I may need. So I can come here, grab the output of quantity 1. Let's say we're going to divide by 350, because typically there's 350 square foot per gallon of paint. And now easily, I just created my own custom calculation where I can do my gallons right here on the fly. And then down here, the properties of your classification, right? You can set a height, so if you want to actually set a thickness to it. You can offset things. These are for 3D visualization. So I'm going to put an offset here of like 8'7" for our ceiling paint, just so you can see it in a 3D space. I'm going to give it a little bit of thickness just so we can see it easier in 3D later on. We can apply slope. So if there's a pitch going on that ceiling, we can go ahead and calculate those values. And basically, you click save, and now you've created that classification. So if you want to do a manual takeoff, you can immediately zoom into your plan, click to add a point, and kind of come around the actual perimeter here of this room and do my takeoff real quick, right? Nothing different. And the idea is I want to show you guys that we're able to do any calculation you need, because AI is, again, it's about augmentation, not automation. There's going to be some times where you have to do specialized takeoffs. The AI will not be able to assist you. And we're still going to have to go in there as that human and go in there and do those manual takeoffs. If we want to do our walls, great, we can create another classification. I would hit the plus sign here, create a linear classification. We're going to do our unit wall paint. In our case right now, we don't care about length, right? We want actually the vertical area of our walls. So I'm going to come here and change it to be vertical area one side. Now I just input the height value down here. Our walls are 8'7". Let me choose another color other than pink. We'll do red. Click save. And then now again, I can kind of come around this room, trace to outline, and get my linear vertical area of my wall so I can start getting my takeoff. And what you guys will notice over on the right side of my screen is the quantity panel. As soon as I can finish drawing any polygon, the values would populate here. For example, my vertical area, there's the area value of my ceiling. I can expand this menu and kind of see the perimeter and gallons calculation live in real time. These classifications are meant for the whole project. So once you build it once, you can continuously use it within that set. But when you go to the next page, right, it's designed on purpose. The values are 0 because there's no values from this sheet. To see the total of our takeoff, we go to the export menu in a bit. So these are just some of our manual functions. Some other tools we have here in Toggle is our search ability. So within the platform itself, we can come over here and click this little magnifying glass. And we have 3 really important tools here. We have text search, image search, and pattern search. So text search is like a Control F function from any other PDF viewer. We're basically going to look for a word, and we can convert it into a count directly within Toggle. So what you do is you come here, type in the word you want. Let's say I'm going to look and count how many units I have. I'm going to call it my Studio Queen. Hit enter. And as you see here, the system will locate where that word is automatically for you. And then you, the user, can choose to utilize this as Control F, right? I can just use these arrows to kind of navigate to each location, confirm that everything's there. Or I can convert it directly into a count polygon. And you just click here where it says choose a classification. If we have an existing one, we would just utilize it. In my case, I need to create a new one. I'm going to call it my Studio Queen unit. We could pick a color, pick a shape, and now just click save and convert. And there you go. That word search has now actually become a count polygon. But where we went further with our text search is you can actually look for a word across your whole set. So in my case, I'm looking for the word Studio Queen, right? But if we're a painter, for example, looking for like where the paint finishes are and what information is being called out, I can look for the word paint, and I can add this asterisk symbol, which is a little star, and that will look for any abbreviation of the word paint. So painting, painted, paint, painted, right? I can click search set, and it'll find every page in this project that contains a word that starts with P-A-I-N-T in this case. So you go, solid wood or MDF is to be painted, right? Over here, solid wood or MDF, same notes. But I can kind of navigate through quickly, identifying the information of where those words are being specified, so I can learn my job quicker. Again, the AI is not going to automatically go in there and recognize and find that information. This is that critical thinking state, but you can come in here and maximize the tool to speed up your takeoff process. And in addition to, we can keep on converting this into a count. If I want to say the word painted means the Studio Queen, I click convert, and I can also convert that into a count across the whole project. So another function we have is image search. So the idea of image search is there's times where we don't actually have text to reference in doing a count. In my case, my window tags, for example, it's this diamond symbol. And I do have the letters A, B, C, D, and etc. But in reality, it's using the same nomenclature as my grid lines. So I wouldn't get a real accurate output if I went with just the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and whatever. So instead, I'm going to use my image search function here, which is our AI image tool. And basically what you're doing is you're giving the AI a sample of this image itself, and it will go ahead and identify this object and count it for you automatically on this page. And one thing I always hear, but Mike, you look for the B-type window. Why did it find all variations of it? That's designed on purpose. We actually look for the symbol first. We actually ignore the text initially, but we give you, the user, the ability to filter your text. Like anything, right, the more visually clear the object is, the better response you get from the AI. So the reason I went with that B-type window is because it had no lines crossing over it that could interfere with the base image. And so now let's say if there was like an M window, right? It might have been difficult for me to find all my M's because the lines are going over it. But the AI can detect that, and I can filter my output to focus on that M type window. And the idea here is you can come here and like filter down your data and again, convert it into a count. So outside of image search, there's one other function called pattern search. And what pattern search does, it allows you to give the AI a sample of a pattern or hatched area and convert it into an area polygon. So for example, if I go to an elevation plan, right, and we have different patterns being shown here on the elevation of our building, instead of me having to come here and create a classification, you know, we could come here and call it, what is this, wood siding. And then, you know, come in here and trace it out one by one. Instead, you can come over here and click that search function, go to pattern, and basically you just zoom in, kind of click and drag to give it a sample. And the AI will take that base image and give you the square footage of that pattern. The key thing I do want to point out, it is still in beta. We know this is our newest AI tool. There is some minor tweaking you have to do and just to ensure you got the full quantities, but it's still going to be a lot quicker than making you go in there and trace out all those patterns one by one. So you can see in this instance, for example, it grabbed the wood siding, it grabbed a window. I don't know why it did, it just did. You can left click here to deselect it, and I'm decreasing my results. But overall, on this whole page, it found all my wood siding areas, and now all I have to do, just like our text search, is you're converting it into an area polygon, which is wood siding. Click convert, done, and then there you go. That simple pattern search function now gets converted into an area polygon, giving me my total square footage here of the wood siding. I can delete things too. And the neat thing about any of the AI output here in Toggle, it's completely modifiable. Like you can change the shape of it. You can delete it if you feel like it's not useful, whatever you want to do. We have tools here like our merge, cut and subtract, and split tool that allow you to quickly manage and adjust this takeoff information. For example, it messed up on this window. If I really want to, I can grab points and do it one by one, right? But I could also use my cut tool. We see it miss the louvers. Some people are okay with running over louvers. If you want to actually like hone in and get an exact number, well, guess what? I can come here to the subtract tool, and now I can try to start to back out these louvers for you to, again, hone in your number. And the idea is still saving you time on that takeoff process. So I want to go back to a floor plan real quick, and I'm going to show you guys one of our most favorite features. So the idea of AI started here with tracing out polygons for architectural floor plans and RCPs. And the first AI tool we ever made was something called the toggle button. And the idea here is that this is your co-pilot. What we did is we trained a model to come in here and look at architectural floor plans and actually identify the square footage of a room, the linear footage of walls, count typical items that we see from project to project, and give you that information up front. So instead of making you go in there and trace out this whole corridor like we saw in our last video, the AI traces it out for you. Now you just give it the definition you need based on the classifications you built over here. So if we just click this toggle button, I have the ability to run all features. There's like a standard output we have, or we can go over to a custom list and kind of handpick what we want. And really, our users love this custom list because it depends on what trade you are, right? If you're a drywall contractor, well, you're probably only going to care about net area and wall center line. If you're a painter, you're going to care about net area and wall perimeter. If you're a flooring contractor, all you're really going to care about is the net area. But I'm going to run all features for you to kind of show you the total output we can give. And you can see how you're able to kind of take this information and transform it into the classification you need. So I'm going to click go, and the AI will begin the process. And this takes anywhere from 5 seconds to a minute. And with us being cloud-based, I theoretically didn't have to wait here for the finished loading. I could have jumped to the fourth floor, click the toggle button, and click go, right? I don't ever need to wait for information to finish loading or things like that, because the idea here is you're able to quickly navigate and move through the project with ease and let the AI process in the background. So here we are. When you do click that toggle button, if you do run all features, you have 3 folders appear. You basically have toggle areas, lines, and counts. So for the areas, we give you a few options. The first, it's footprint. This is the total square footage of the floor plan itself. So you can see it's the massive footprint of this structure. We give you the net area. This is the interior square footage of each and every single room. So our AI model is trained to look for drywall partitions and doorway openings and give you the square footage of that room based off of that output. So in this case is our net area of these rooms. We give you door area, the horizontal square footage of each door opening. We provide you the gross area. So this is the total buildable area of a room itself. So you see here it goes to the halfway mark of each drywall partition or the exterior of our structure, and it's the total buildable area of this one room. We provide you gross internal area. So this is gross, but what it is we deduct the external walls, giving you a true AC space of the structure. For our lines, we got three types here. We got door center line, linear footage of each door opening, wall center line, the linear footage of each drywall partition here, and then we got wall perimeter. What wall perimeter is going to do is come in here and actually trace the border of that net area and give you that total perimeter of the room itself. And then for accounts, we look for 28 different objects spread across 4 categories. We automatically count plumbing fixtures, doors, furniture, and appliance for you automatically. So as long as it's clearly shown on the plan, right, the AI will go in there and count those objects for you here. So the reason, how is this beneficial, right? That's always one question I get. And again, we're going back to that thought of augmentation, right? The theory here is the AI is a co-pilot and you're the captain. You're dancing with this machine and you're reclassifying the information instead of actually having to go there and draw the polygons. If you look at the net area of this room, this would have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, like 30 clicks in reality just to get around the perimeter of this one room. Imagine doing it to all these rooms at once or one by one, right? You're having to come in here and do each room one by one. Now with Toggle, the AI ran, gave me the net area of my room, and all I have to do now is right click and say, you know what, this is my ceiling paint area. And now that I've done that, what you'll see is that that polygon has been reclassified here to ceiling paint. And what you can do is you can hold shift, for example, to grab multiple rooms at once. You can click and drag here in Toggle 2 to grab things in bulk. And now again, you're able to right click and reassign that polygon to that ceiling paint, speeding up that takeoff process. And because we built our formulas and the quantity outputs we want, I'm getting the area of my ceiling, the linear footage of my crown molding, and then there's the total gallons of paint I need right now instantly. And if we want to do our walls, for example, that's where you can utilize wall perimeter, right? Again, we can click and drag going down the center of our units here. And we did our unit paint. I could right click, reclassify to that unit wall paint. I can grab my corridor, for example, and now I could right click. Maybe I need to create a new one. So I can just right click and create a sign right here on the fly. And I can call this my corridor wall paint. And again, we can change it to be vertical area one side. We can input the height we want. Let's say it's going to be 15-foot tall walls. Click save. And again, that red line has been transformed to this green corridor wall paint function. And I'm now getting the square footage of my corridor paint. And so the benefit of us utilizing these different properties and informations in a classification here in Toggle is we have a neat tool that lets you visualize your takeoff in a 3D space. From what we heard from our users and just estimators around the industries, that sometimes it gets confusing, right? You're having to look at something in a 2D space, and you would like to kind of see it in a 3D visualization to confirm that you're capturing the scope of work correctly. So now in Toggle, whenever you input these properties, this is not only helping you to get the calculations you need, this is also generating a 3D model in the background. So all I've been doing is changing the walls, right? And I realized I shouldn't have done unit wall paint in red, so let me change that to like blue to make it more obvious. There we go, right? So I have my blue walls, I have my green walls. The red ones are still the default from the AI. I can hide that layer. But we just reclassified all this information. We did our ceiling paints. Now I can come in here and click on this 3D function. And now I can actually view my takeoff in a 3D space. And again, because we actually inputted the information we want, right? We have the height of our unit walls. We have the height of the corridor walls. We actually see the 3D visualization of our ceilings because we offset that item off the floor. So now I can actually see what my takeoff is. For those who meet with ownership and other GCs and things like that, this is a great way for you to like visualize and show, hey, we actually have the scope of work covered. You can kind of look through it, but this is what we expect the outcome, to be at the end of the day, basically, with what we've captured here. So some other functions we have here in Toggle is collaboration. So the neat thing about us being cloud-based is that we are able to collaborate with multiple users within our organization. And so if you do purchase a multi-user deal here in Toggle, basically all you have to do is click this person with the plus sign. This is your share button. And now you can invite users to collaborate with you. So all I have to do is hit this plus sign where it says add a user, and I can just type in their name. So for example, if I want to invite my colleague Zach, I just type in his name. I come here to select his profile, and now I can give him one of 3 permissions. We can basically make him a can viewer, which all he can do is view takeoff and just kind of sit there in the background. We have can edit, which allows him to collaborate on his own space while he's able to view everyone else's, and he can interact with us, but he's only working in his own silo, but he's just able to view everyone else's work, and we can view his. Or there's can manage, which makes him a co-owner of this job. So he can help manage the users. He can help manage the PDF documents. He can manage other people's takeoff. If I make a mistake, Zach can now come in here and actually change my takeoff on the background and correct things as needed. So the neat thing is that it's as easy as adding a user, right? If I want to do Dylan, for example, type in his name, pick the permission we want, click add user, and instantly our colleague is invited to collaborate with us here on this project. And again, everyone's given their own view as long as there's some type of collaborator role. So Dylan has his own view where he can come here and start doing his takeoff. Zach has his own view. And then, of course, I still have my own view. If we want to overlay everyone's takeoff, we have the combine function where you can stack all the different takeoff layers together and see how the whole project's coming as one package. And so the general idea is once we finish our takeoff, we finish everything across the job, how do we get this information out? You come over here to the export function where it says export to Excel at the top. And basically the idea here is that we're going to generate this takeoff into an Excel sheet for you. So you can start to plug and play this information into your estimating template. So by default, the first time you open it up, and bear with me, it does store your last view. So I was playing with it earlier this morning. We just need to deselect some things. Basically, you'll see this by default. You'll see quantity 1 through 4, right? All those quantity outputs that we were building earlier, we get to kind of see the overall sum of this takeoff and all the quantity totals with it, right? So the takeoff you're seeing here is pulling from 5 different drawings at once. We're just seeing the grand total. But we developed 3 functions that allow you to kind of massage this data and organize it into the view you need. So we can group it, for example. And the grouping is one of my favorite because you can do different things. You can group it by drawing. So this will let you see where your takeoff is per page. So 3rd floor versus 4th floor versus 1st floor versus the enlarged stair plan, where we convert that word paint into account, the exterior elevations. I can group it by folders. So if we actually create folders on our quantity panel, we can see our takeoff organized into those folder structures. We have a function called breakdown you can group it into. If you buy the assembly module, you can group your takeoff based on the different assemblies. So there's different ways you can organize this information. And the neat thing is that once you set this up the first time, this is a saved view and it's never going to change, right? So you set it up once, and after that, all you're ever really going to be doing is coming here and clicking that export to Excel function. We can filter our data to look for particular classifications. So if we don't want all our data, I can focus on ceiling paint, for example. I'm not going to do that, but you can quickly just filter it down. And then you can mess with the columns. That's what I was doing in the beginning. So by default, you have quantity 1 through 4. Maybe I don't need quantity 4 because I don't see we're utilizing it anywhere. I believe we're not. Nope. So I can come here and hide quantity 4, but maybe I want to bring in like my height value, right? Because I want to know how tall my walls are. So I just click here where it says height. And then there you go. Instantly, you can see the height of these different items. And then those are the properties we inputted. And so the general idea is once you finish setting this up, you just click here on the Excel button, click download, and this will go ahead and generate that Excel template for you so you can start to plug and play this information into your estimating template. Give Excel a second to open up. And here we are, right? You can exactly see the same takeoff information I have here in Toggle is now lives in my Excel sheet. You make any adjustments in Toggle itself, you just download a new Excel sheet. And again, you're able to come here and massage and manipulate the data, start plug and playing it into your estimating platform or your estimating template, however you may need it. And then the last function I want to show off today is our Toggle chat function. So whenever you upload any drawings in the Toggle, we automatically scan the text information from our plans and we feed it into a large language model. So on the back end, we utilize Gemini. What we've done though is we've disconnected it from the internet, and that Toggle chat function now allows you to have a conversation with your plan documents. The key limitation in Toggle chat, and I just want to be upfront, is it cannot do takeoff. What it will do though is let you speak about the information and specifications being called out on the drawing, so you can get that in a nice kind of text format, right? So a lot of users utilize Toggle Chat maybe to identify material finish. We can't find PT01. We don't see it being specified anywhere. We can ask Toggle Chat now to scan through all the documents and tell me what is PT01, wherever it may be hidden, right? We can have it to generate a scope of work. Think of it like a college intern. It has some construction knowledge. It can go in there and take all this different information across the plan and put together a full scope of work for you. You can use it to generate R5, COR emails. It's like your same LLMs that you guys may be utilizing every day, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever it may be. But Toggle Chat, we integrate it directly into the platform so that whenever you upload any plans or documents, you can now start to utilize those same functions with your construction docs. So I'm coming here and say, create a detailed summary, for the drywall scope of work as specified on this project. I'll go ahead, scan through all 115 documents right now and give me a summary of that drywall scope of work. So now I actually have a little bit more insight on what I'm going to need to specify and what I need to contain my estimate. See if there's something that's being called out that I'm like, you know what, I just don't do that. We're going to decline to bid the job. Instead of spending hours of doing takeoff and finding that weird note or detail where now it becomes a concern, you can utilize this to kind of scan, understand what this job may contain and what you're looking for, ensuring you're capturing the full scope of work so you have an accurate and detailed estimate ready to go. And here we go. Keep in mind these documents are 100% DD, so there may be some weird things where it's like that's very generic, but it's just where the state of this document is. So, I'll create a detailed summary of the drywall scope of work. Here's a type C gypsum board to be used at rated floor ceilings and assemblies, and you see it's pulling the note from A801. There's a type X gypsum board that's 5/8 thick to be used throughout unless otherwise specified by the UL listing or notes. And you can kind of come down here, you see it tells me all the different partition types being specified. So partition type A is a 2x6 wood stud, 16 inches on center with sound bat insulation, has 2 layers of 5/8 gypsum board, etc. And you can see it actually outlined all the different wall types for me. So again, maybe H isn't being specified, right? But we see it's here on the actual from the Toggle Chat output. Now we can go to our estimate going, hey, we excluded partition type H because we didn't see it being specified, right? You can kind of, they always say CYA, right? Make sure that your estimate is capturing the full scope of work you need and that you guys are having an accurate, value ready to go. And the neat thing about Toggle Chat is it provides you a link to the page. So in this case, it's pulling from A801. I can click on that, open a new tab, and now I can actually go to that drawing. Oh, it didn't take me there. Okay, in this case, we'll just open up our drawing navigator and we can jump to A801. And now we can start to reference that information, kind of dive into it a little bit deeper and, review the information overall, see if there's anything maybe, the AI didn't mention that like we care about. So here we go. And here's all the wall types. This is how I was pulling that information over from that Toggle Chat. You open up Toggle Chat, it always leaves off right where you last were to. You can copy this information out of here and paste it into Word, Excel, whatever it may be, and utilize that info too. So there's a lot other cool functions here in Toggle I didn't even cover today. There's a lot of hidden features we have. We have, hotkeys to try to speed up the process even further. We have libraries that you can build out here in Toggle and have preset classifications readily available for you to go from the get-go instead of you having to build them job by job. You can import classifications over from another project. We have hundreds and hundreds of other things that I didn't even cover today. But I did want to kind of cover those big shiny, features we have and what we're trying to do to make a difference in the industry. So I'm going to go back to my slides. And kind of the main thing I want to leave off on is this idea of takeoff 2.0. As I was mentioning earlier, right? Oh, thanks, PowerPoint. AI is not like the idea of AI is not here to come automate your takeoff, right? It's augmentation. It's a dance with human and machine. The machine will go out there and trace the polygons. You go there behind it, make minor adjustments, modifications in terms of reclassifying the polygons, and you're the one building out the formulas and determining the output you need. There's no idea, at least here, and I don't see it happening in construction for a long, long time, of one click of a button, we can have mimosas, we're done for the day, right? Unfortunately, drawings are inconsistent. There's no There's inaccuracies with it, right? There's information always missing. And because of that, there's no like way for us to be like, hey, we can click a button and get all your values. The idea is to speed up that takeoff process, letting your estimators focus on more critical tasks and more important things they have to cover throughout the day, like negotiating contracts, reaching out to suppliers, right? Doing a VE process. There's all these other things we have to do. And takeoff is typically the most time-consuming task that we have to take on as estimators. So one thing I want to cover is a case study we had with a painting contractor. Basically, their idea is that they wanted to increase the number of bids they were placing. This was a small SMB shop. And basically, they realized how much time-consuming the takeoff process was. And their primary goal with incorporating Toggle was to just increase their number of bids completed by 25%. They wanted to go from an average of 19 to 25 with Toggle. That was the measly little goal they were aiming for, right? And you'll see how that goal was absolutely shattered. So in March, assuming they were still using Bluebeam, they were averaging 19 bids a month. By April, after taking that month to start mastering Toggle, if you think about it, right, that's just like you're still learning a platform and haven't understood its full efficiencies yet. They were able to increase from 19 bids a month to 50 bids a month with Toggle. That was a 163% increase in productivity. By month 2, now they were starting to really understand the ins and outs of the software. They had a library in place, right? They were even able to increase that by another 10 bids per month. And they still, to this day, have been averaging about 60 to 70 bids per month with one estimator. And that's a 215% increase overall compared to using a traditional legacy software like Bluebeam. And that's the idea here at Toggle. We want to bring you value. We partner with our customers to look at what we can do, maybe in terms of increasing the number of projects you're bidding on a quarterly, monthly basis. We try to see, as your win rate improved, utilizing Toggle. Is there margin growth that we can, partner with and hear about the success stories there? And again, the idea is to help revolutionize the construction industry and helping, this pre-con space that feels like something that's always been left behind and modernize it for 2025 standards in the world we live in right now. So this kind of completes my presentation today. I definitely want to open up the floor for Q&A, see if there's any questions you guys have, anything you would like me to dive into. I have no problem going back into Toggle if there's more specific questions you guys have.
Michael, I see there's a question here that maybe you can answer. How long does it take to understand and start maximizing the tool?
Yeah, great question. What I would say is it typically takes about 4 weeks. If you think about it, it's going to take some time to actually learn to utilize the product itself, understand how to navigate it, and moving through it. So we say at most it's going to take you about 4 weeks. If you're estimating every single day, doing like a full 8-hour workload, you could probably learn it within 1 week. But the average workload that estimators have day to day, if you're doing about 2 hours of estimating, 5 hours of estimating a week, or take off a week, you'll see like full maximization within 4 weeks.
And anyone can put their questions in the chat, but
Yeah,
I think that we talked about this too, Michael, that with AI, it's exciting and scary both, right? What would you say from your experience was some difficulties you may have had in starting with AI, just to give people an idea about that, as well as, because we might have some that are just starting out with it. We might have some that are very experienced. However, what are some things that you say that are great, and maybe some things that our listeners may want to avoid?
yeah, great question. AI is a constant evolving technology in our world, right? You have to keep that in mind. AI in our space in construction is never going to be that, let's just click a button, all the values are done, our work, we don't have to worry about estimating anymore. That's unrealistic. And that shift, unfortunately, we have like this tendency to listen to like what we see on the media or news reports that AI is coming to steal your jobs and it's going to replace you and it's going to do all your work in 1 year. I can assure you, and I always say I will bet my salary that that will not happen in construction for at least another 5 to 10 years at minimum. And it's probably going to be even further than that, right? The idea is that we're trying to help augmentate your workload, speed up that takeoff process so you can focus on more critical tasks day in and day out. And so there's always this hesitation with some users who are like, but I expected the AI to click a button, go read that finished plan, and automatically assign it. Like, how do you expect AI to do that when construction documents are a mess, right? The only reason you know to do that is off of years and years of experience and knowing, hey, okay, if the information is on my finished schedule, let me go check the RCP. All right, it's on the RCP, let me go check the section detail, right? These are things that inherently, like, AI just doesn't understand. And unfortunately, it's a flaw in our industry. Like, we, as estimators, always have to cover our butts in a way. We always have to kind of protect the architect because information is missing. We make assumptions. And then that's just the world we live in. And so you still have to kind of keep that in mind with AI. It's a trust but verify function. It'll give you the polygon, make sure it's correct. You're the one assigning it to the information you need. But it's still saving you time from having to do every single click by click point on a plan.
All right, the questions are coming in here, Michael.
I see. Yeah. So what is the pricing structure? Great question, Robert. And I see there's another person who asked, like, what is the cost of Toggle? So the base price of Toggle is $300 a month. It is a 1-year commitment. The reason being is that you're not going to learn Toggle in 1 month. And so the idea is we ask you to commit with us for a whole year. We'll partner with you. We do trainings. We have office hour webinars you can do. You have your dedicated customer success manager that's there to ensure that you're maximizing the tool, seeing what other functions you're struggling with and how you can continue to maximize it. We typically try to do a 1-year annual agreement, but of course you can do more than 1 year if you're interested. And I'm going to kind of skip around because I think a lot of this ties in. There was one other person who reached in, what type of support is Toggle providing in the learning process? So when you first get onboarded here at Toggle, what my team does is we ensure you go through an onboarding process. So you meet with what we call our product specialists. These are former construction professionals like myself who'll walk you through the product step by step, designed in a way for your trade. That's the key thing, right? We're not going to come in here and show you how to use Toggle for an electrician if you're not an electrician. That's pointless. The idea is to show you how you maximize it for your trade specific use. And then after that, the CSM will continue to partner with you and follow up and see if you need additional one-on-one training. If you want to get access to our Toggle Academy, we have a step-by-step academy you can flow through that will, show you how to use Toggle one step at a time. It's a little bit more of a self-learning pace. We have a help center that contains all these articles and videos that show you how to utilize a tool again for your different use cases and how to utilize the different functions here in Toggle. So there's many different avenues of support we can provide you. And again, we understand that everyone has their own way of learning, and that's where here as a CSM, so that we partner with you because we truly want to make sure you're getting value out of the product, and this is meeting your business needs and expectations. There was one question about, will you be adding an estimating feature? Is this strictly QTO? At the moment, we're strictly QTO. The idea is we are looking at partnering with other estimating platforms that are strictly cloud-based and ideally flowing that information out of Toggle into their estimating platforms. We recently launched an integration with Service Titan. So, that's kind of like our first steps and things we're building on there. But at the moment, we aim at focusing on the QTO aspect of it, which is quantity takeoffs if for everyone else. And we'll try to partner with other people to try to transfer that information. Another question asks, can this work with my current on-screen and quick bid system? Unfortunately not. We are our own takeoff software. The idea here is that you're going to be utilizing Toggle to replace on-screen altogether, right? We don't plug and play into any other takeoff softwares. You can't take the files out, upload in Toggle. It's a complete switchover. Toggle would be your new on-screen basically day in and day out. I like this other question. How does Toggle differ from Toggle add-on for e-takeoff? Great question. So we do have partnerships around the industry where we lease out our Toggle button. What you see today is our platform, and many of the tools and functions I show you do not exist in the e-takeoff function. If you do buy the integration with e-takeoff, all you're strictly getting is that Toggle button to do quick, polygon takeoffs for floor plans and RCPs. The text search function I showed you, image search, pattern search, Toggle chat, collaboration, those are all strictly on our side and features and functions we have developed in our platform. The 3D mode, we have markups. I don't know e-takeoff too well. I used it for like all of 10 minutes of my career, but that's the big difference there. Roy, good question. Do you offer additional training and what's the cost? Yes. So you can buy training packages at the hour. We also offer a custom build library for you. If you guys have an existing S-main template or existing like library utilizing your takeoff platform, if you share that with your CSM, you can go ahead and share that with you. It's a little bit extra of a cost added to your subscription, but we can go there and partner with you. And again, we're all about making sure our users are getting value. Like I wish I could emphasize about how much like white glove service we offer on the CSM side, because we know how the construction industry is. We know, everyone's running around doing a million things at once, and we want to make sure like we're here to help you and you don't get frustrated with just simple panning, right? Some people may get confused on how to pan here in Toggle, and we're here to help you. We want to make sure that you're utilizing the tool to its fullest extent. Sean, what are the specs on the computer you use to run Toggle? I find Acrobat often is sluggish. So we're cloud-based. The only thing we ever really care about is RAM and GPU. It's not like you're going to have that issue of like Adobe Acrobat or any on-premise software, because everything that's being processed is on the computer. So you have many users who'll just use a Chromebook, right? If you try to use OST on a Chromebook, good luck. That thing's going to be sounding like a jet engine trying to take off, right? The poor thing's probably going to die in a few years. With us being on the cloud and especially the web, and if you can open up a web browser, you're going to be able to open and run Toggle with no issue in reality. And you can see right here, the memory usage is hovering like about less than a gigabyte. And that's the most you'll ever see when you're using Toggle on the browser. Any plans for Toggle in the future to generate floor seam diagrams based on tile size and pattern? Yeah, there's conversations about that and what we can do to keep on expanding for flooring contractors. Net area is great in terms of getting like plank material and doing tile and things like that. We can give you the actual tile count you need. If you come down here as a quantity output, clicks down here where it says tile grid, you can input the value. Like let's say we have like a 12 by 18 inch tile, and let's say we have an 1/8 of an inch gap, right? One of the quantity outputs I can get is tile count. We don't visualize it for you, but we can come in here and actually give you the value on a neat level, how many pieces of tile you need. So we are slowly expanding on that, trying to see what other things we can bring for flooring contractors. Discount pricing for multi-user license, of course. Carly from my team here, we actually have a discount that we want to share with the FCA group, but the way it works, like anything in life, the more licenses you buy, you are able to get a little bit more of a discount for the multi-user prices or multi-usage licenses.
Yeah, we are happy to offer a 10% discount for anybody that mentions that they were on this webinar.
I think the next question is more for Karen. Will you be sending out a link to the recording today to share with other team members?
Yes, we will definitely be sending out a link to the recording, and we're glad that you want to share it. So thank you. And that's it. I don't see any other questions, Michael. I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to cover as a closing.
Yeah. I see one more question came in. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Does Toggle have any industrial applications for seal takeoff? So that's where that text search function can come in terms of clicking the Toggle button, right? It only supports architectural floor plans and RCPs. So counting columns and steel beams and things like that is really quick and easy with that text search. We also have something called the grid tool. So like, do I have structural drawings here? I do. I have a framing plan. So this is wood, right? If we assume it's like steel, right? Typically it's some type of a joist-like system. So like if you do draw a line, we have what we call smart copy and paste. So you can like copy an item and like paste it out to like be quick duplication. So now all I do is hit Control-Shift-V and I can quickly go down that route. There's a grid tool down here where you can set like the actual dimensions and spacing of different items. And you can do a quick duplication of work. So there's different ways we can help like applications for the steel industry. But it's still gonna take you utilizing more of our custom tools than like doing like AI-based takeoff in that sense. Can you import custom tools from another takeoff software? I'm assuming tools you mean like classifications, right? And you can't import it in directly, but during that sales process, if you actually reach out to your sales rep, there's a way we can import what we call our classifications or tools come from Bluebeam into Toggle, so you can start utilizing them day one. There's something we can do there for you.
All right, that looks like that was all the questions. That was great. There was a lot of questions for you, Michael. Wow. And
Yeah,
you
I love
answered
it.
them really well. So, well, Michael, thank you very much for this really informative presentation. We appreciate you joining us today, and we certainly appreciate everyone joining this educational series. That's just great. And as Carly mentioned, there is a 10% discount for everyone who's joined today. So if any of you want to take advantage of that, you can reach out to us. We're happy to help. Hope you enjoyed this this webinar. I thought it was great. So thank you, Michael. And
Yeah, of
can any
course.
of the participants follow up with you if they have further questions?
Most definitely, yeah. Like what I want to end off is saying thank you guys for attending this webinar. We really do appreciate it. You know, the goal here at Toggle is to keep on advancing industry with AI, without. Like we really are looking at like how we can keep on bringing the users our value. What I can say is, you know, be open-minded, right? Technology is always evolving in our space. I always try to recommend to people, try to keep an open thought and try to incorporate and challenge themselves, because technology is going to help us. You know, one of the big sad things about our industry, no matter how you look at it, is what they say by 2030, 40% of the workforce is supposed to be retired. And there shouldn't be a fear of technology. I really do think that we should be embracing it, because how are we going to keep up with the same demand and workloads we have today by 2030, right? I'm one of the few students. I mean, I think I was like a class of 1 of 75 in what 2015, whenever I graduated from FIU with a construction management degree. Like, you know, and it's the unfortunate reality. So I always recommend to people, just try to keep an open embracement of it. Keep on challenging yourselves to adapt technology, and that will help your company grow and yourselves too.
Yeah, great point. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. And again, if you have any further questions or any discussion or anything else that you want from us, FCA International is more than happy to help, and Toggle AI, Carly and Michael, also happy to help. So thank you, everybody. And
Yeah,
hope you all have a great day. We're ending a few minutes early, but I thought it was great. So thank you so much.
no worries. Hope to speak with everyone soon. Take care and have a great week.